Pull the string, pull the string!
Scoodly, wow, wow, wow.
Bay Area Backstage.
The human brain contains 100 billion neurons. Each neuron is as powerful as a large computer, and each neuron has around 10,000 connections with other neurons within our foreheads.
M. Suggested for mature audiences. Parental discretion advised.
All these factors must be considered as we plan for the survival of our homes, our families, and our nation in the nuclear age.
Hey, I'm Jeff LeBar.
And I'm Eric Brittingham. We're from Cinderella. We're here at Bay Area Backstage.
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I don't either.
You know,
I'm just a dumb bass player. I mean,
for young band, you know what? Dumb bass player. You know what? For young bands that are wanting to play songs that or wanting to play styles that are like happening now. Do your own thing. Write whatever comes out naturally and make it real and honest. Practice, of course. Learn from old guys like us. I mean,
learn what or what not to do, but
as influences, that'd be cool, But don't try to. I think don't try to play what you think is popular or what's going to be popular. Do what's honest to you, or what's real, and see where it goes. Right. Because if you just try to be whatever the flavor of the month is,
that was real.
By the time you get signed, it's over. So. And you know what? I tell my son, practice. I teach him songs.
And then he plays them better than he does.
And then he's teaching me how to play them right. So
he's what, 13 now?
Yeah, he's 13. So learn from old guys. He's actually into 70s music, and that's how I learned. So, and I actually made a career out of it. So. I must have done something right.
Can.
There you go.
We're lucky bastards.
I have no idea. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because we're persistent.
I don't know.
We just keep playing anyway.
They like it or not. Favorite songs to perform live? Well,
every rose has its thorn. That's not us, is it?
Yeah. What is your favorite?
What's my probably Falling Apart at the Seams.
I was going to say the same thing.
Falling Apart at the Seams and Coming Home are two of my favorites. Like one end of the spectrum and the other end.
Yeah, Coming Home is fun for me because I actually get to use like more than 2 strings on that song, which is kind of cool, I think.
Really?
Yeah, up until then, I didn't know what the other 2 strings were for.
This is true.
Yeah, why did they put 4 on this thing? Well, we used 2 of them. No, actually,
I don't know about that.
in the songwriting process with Cinderella, Tom's a primary writer. So,
did you come in with an idea and you guys flesh it out, or?
Pretty much like he has the song finish. It's structured verse, bridge, and chorus, and he comes in, and then we all kind of throw our 2 cents in.
Then Eric and I change it.
Yeah, kind of, But, yeah, and it's been that way since the beginning, and and it works. So, and we're fortunate that he's a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently.
Do you guys detune or anything by any chance? Do you guys do any detuning, or is it all standard?
Absolutely. Do
Okay.
G-tunings, D-tunings. We do slide stuff. So yeah, I play quite a few songs in a G-tuning.
Up in G.
Yeah. Or some of it. Some of the songs I just tune the A string down to a G because I need to do a solo in it, and I have to compromise some of the tunings. Also, in the studio, we've done D-tunings.
All kinds of tunings.
All kinds of crazy tunings in the studio. And sometimes you have to compromise those tunings live for other guitar parts. So, Yeah, but it's not a traditional kind of slide stuff. It's more like an effect. It's more like a mood-setting thing. It's definitely not traditional blues slide stuff, and it's not even in a tuning.
Oh, wow.
Just single
That's
note.
kind of cool. That's like something that you don't expect to see. You know?
Well, yeah, we did it in the studio and then put an octave below it and then put an octave above it, and it just made an eerie sound. fucking awesome. Because we still have our hair and we're still relatively skinny. And now we're still pretty good.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably because they have nothing better to do.
Actually, I
Nah, I think, especially with this tour with Poison and us, it's the two bands complement each other well, and we still play well. We do the show like we used to do 20 years ago, and not so many bands put on a show anymore.
Yeah.
Like they don't, they just go out there and just kind of do their thing, and people come out and they're like, wow, these old farts can still play.
We actually try to put on a show.
Try to.
We perform.
Yeah.
We didn't originate rock and roll.
Yeah.
Come on. We haven't copped anybody else.
Yeah.
Come on, I came from the 70s, and if anybody's copping what we did, they're copping what we copped off of somebody else. It's, how many notes are there in the scale?
Yes, there's no missing notes. Even though some guitar players
nobody
think
has
they found
invented
it.
a new note yet. So, so I don't know how much is original or how much is, just brought back from the past in a new way or in a new sound.
I saw Kiss, what was it, 75 on the Destroyer tour, 75, 76. Yeah. Me and a buddy of mine went up to the Spectrum in Philly and saw him. I was like, holy shit. I've never heard anything that loud in my life. So, so from that time on, I kept blowing up my amps. So I was like, it should go louder because Kiss was louder than this. But.
Oh my God, my first concert, I think, was Yes in '73.
Wow.
I grew up I had an older brother, and I obviously grew up on '70s music, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, not so much Kiss. I had friends that were into Kiss, and I thought they were all show and no-go. But, hey, but I grew up more on British rock, like British classical rock, like Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd. And like I said, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and stuff like that. I got into that because I had an older brother who got my parents into that kind of music. And so I would get to go to concerts with my parents. If my father wanted to see Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd, Jethro Tull, Straubs, some very obscure bands like that too. I get to go with my parents at 10 years old. In my high school, there were actual cliques. You were either into Zeppelin, The Who, or the Grateful Dead. And you didn't associate with people that were, the other, they were actual cliques in high school like that.
How you doing out there tonight? You ready to get this place fucking rockin'?
influence was my older brother, Jack.
Okay.
He's 5 years older than me, and he was a hippie, in the late 60s, and I totally looked up to him. He played guitar, so when he was, at work after school, I picked up his guitar, when I was like 9, 10 years old, and just like danced in front of a mirror, posing with it. And he finally, when he called me a couple times being all pissed off, getting peanut butter in the strings and shit like that, he finally was like, you want to learn how to play that thing? So he showed me 3 chords, pulled out a songbook with the diagrams, with the dots on the strings. He's like, hey, check it out. Look where you put your fingers, and if you know how the song goes in your head, strum it that way. I was like, oh, okay. That's how I learned how to play. And by listening to Alice Cooper records.
I actually started out as a guitar player up until I was about 17.
As all bass players did.
But yeah, I actually started playing guitar when I was about 8 because my father played guitar in a country band, a local country band, and he showed me a few chords, and I kind of took it from there. I hated country, and still kind of do, even though I live in Nashville now.
We live in Nashville now.
It makes no sense. But no, it's a good music town. It's not just country music. And yeah, so I switched to bass because when I was in high school, this guitar player that I went to school with was amazing. He could play any Al Di Meola riff, Steve Carlton riff. The guy was amazing.
Steve Carlton.
And he needed a bass player, and I was like, well, I don't know any bass players. He's like, well, can you play? And once I started playing, I loved it. So after the first month when I had blood blisters on my fingers, and when I got over that, I was like, okay, this is cool. So I stuck with it. And it works.
Oh my God, I've done that. I forgot. You know what else? I'm like, here, talk.
Here. Okay.
Wait, talk for a minute. You know what? I started using these picks. I still use these picks. They have 3 points on them. They're rounded.
Tortilla chips.
Yeah, they're tortilla chips. I started using these picks when I was a kid because I was poor. Like I said, I'm boiling my strings. I'm using these picks because you do pick slides or they wear out, whatever. And I turn to the other point.
It's like 3 picks in one.
But I started getting used to them. If I use a regular pick, the point is too sharp, and I fumble. Like that. And the angle isn't as, it's wider. And what was my point? I was poor. That was my point.
I'm still waiting for
But
that
point. I still use these funky picks. Everybody looks at me like, those are bass picks.
They're not a bass pick. That would last like
I know.
2 beats.
I know. Hello? Hello? I would like to thank my parents. And God, of course.
We are in retreat.
Come to show 'em where I am.
Destroy the humanoid. Intruder alert, intruder alert. Intruder must not escape.